What's going on, musicians? I want to talk about Gibson filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So, a lot of people are asking what's going to go on. Are they going out of business? Will we see Gibson guitars? Um, uh, I'm sure Gibson will go on as a brand. They've been established for over 100 years or for a long time in different forms. Um, this isn't that surprising to me. I have a background working in retail for the music industry, not only as a musician, but also working at a small music store, Westchester Music in Westchester, and then a large retail chain, Sam Ash Music, for 2 years. And so I got a little bit of an insight as to what was going on in Gibson um, over the last 10, 15 years, actually. So I think where the real trouble began for Gibson, I mean, they've always had some bumps going back and forth. Um, I don't think musicians realize that guitar sales is very small market. Um, yes, a lot of people listen to music and consume music, um, but it's a very small fraction of those people that actually play music. Um, so there's not a huge amount of consumers on that side of that industry. So you need to understand that as a musician that um, there aren't really that many people buying guitars, as opposed to maybe Vans or Gap clothing or something like that. There's a lot more people out there buying things like that, consumables. So um, I don't remember which year Henry, who is the current owner of Gibson, took over and bought Gibson, but he made some moves that he felt that were very necessary to take the company in a different direction. Some of them were good, some of them were bad. Some of the things that I noticed firsthand was I worked for a small music shop called Westchester Music, and small shops were no longer able to carry Gibson guitars. So that meant they weren't able to carry Gibson guitars or Epiphone guitars, and I'll explain why. Um, if you wanted to be a Gibson dealer or Epiphone dealer, you had to carry both. You couldn't just pick, okay, I want 10 Gibson Les Paul Studios and two standards and this. It became, okay, if you're going to be a vendor, here's how much inventory you have to buy each month, and we get to choose what you carry. So for a small business owner, being a music store, sometime their minimum uh, to buy and to keep was around like 60, 70 grand, 80 grand. So for a small music shop, that's a huge amount of stuff you need to carry, and a lot of stuff that you need to go through to restock for your next year. So you start to see little stores they couldn't carry Gibson or Epiphone, so then you only saw Gibson and Epiphone in larger stores. And I met Henry back when I worked at Sam Ash. He was very nice to me, but I mean, he rubbed people the wrong way. He's a businessman, and that's what happens. And I know exactly what happened with his interaction between him and the owners of Sam Ash. And they had a disagreement, and Sam Ash didn't carry Gibson for a while or Epiphone, um, because of the way Henry was doing business and how he demanded, how you basically had to carry a certain amount of inventory. So I think that rockiness on the retail end is what hurt Gibson and Epiphone in the long run. And I think some of the things that I noticed, I mean, this is all my opinion. I could be wrong. It could just be factors that I'm talking about. But one of the things that I noticed was over the last couple of years, they started adding those Tune-O-Matic automatic tuners, which I really don't know. Like I haven't run across too many musicians that like that or want it at all. And then they started releasing lower end versions of of acoustic guitars, um, and I felt like from some of the ones that I played, the craftsmanship and the and the product control wasn't the same as when they were only doing their high end guitars. Where like I mean, the cheapest one you could get was like $2,000, $3,000, in that spot. Whereas like now you can get some that are lower than that. I felt like the quality wasn't as good on the ones that I played. So I think Gibson trying to make a lot of lower end stuff um, was a little bit too late. I mean, they aren't making much money off of those melody makers that are made in America. They're great little guitars for $400 or $500. They don't really make anything off of those. It's really it's a long game ploy. It's basically to get younger kids interested in having a Gibson. So as they learn, they want the big Les Paul, or they want a studio, or they just keep upgrading to the nicer Gibson stuff because they're hooked. So there's a lot of different factors. I don't see Gibson's not going to disappear. Somebody else might buy it. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I just want to give people a little bit of background, a little bit of my insight into that part of the industry and why why it happened and what is going on from my perspective. So if you have any comments below, anything to add, definitely add them. And enjoy, guys. Have a great day.